The British Museum, Sub-Basement 3, Department of Anomalous Antiquities. My name is Dr. Nathaniel Ashcroft, Senior Archivist, Custodian of Restricted Collections. What you are about to hear has been recovered from sealed files, letters, journals, and testimonies once thought too disturbing for public record. Every statement you hear is drawn from Britain's forgotten centuries, the whispered history that hides between faith and fear. These are the National Occult Archives, filed, preserved, never closed. Case file NOA 1843S. Classification: Police testimony. Date of statement: 9th November 1843. Location: Inverary, Argyll, Scotland. Author: Constable Duncan Fraser, Inverary Watch House. Witness statement: to Inspector McTavish, Inverary Constabulary, filed for record, though I doubt any man will believe it. On the evening of the 7th November, I was dispatched to the old pier following complaints of shrieking heard from Loch Fyne after midnight. The town was quiet, only the wind through the chimneys. I took my lantern and walked down to the shore. The fog sat heavy, thicker than I've ever known. I could not see 10 paces ahead, yet I heard a child's laugh, high and hollow, bouncing from the water. When I called out, the sound ceased. Only the tide lapped, slow and steady. At the far end of the pier, I found footprints bare, small, leading out toward the edge, where the boards dip low, no prints returning. The wood there was soaked, but frozen stiff. I leaned over the rail and shone my lamp upon the loch. Something pale drifted beneath the surface like fabric, moving of its own accord. I hailed the ferryman for his boat. We rowed out together, keeping to the light. When my oar struck what I thought was driftwood, it groaned. The ferryman crossed himself and would go no further. As we turned back, we saw another lantern on the shore, or so we thought, yet it swayed higher than any man's hand could hold. It rose, flickered, and vanished into the mist. The next morning, the prints were gone, yet a single wooden plank near the pier's end bore the impression of a hand burned clean into the grain. I make this record not from fancy, but from fear that one night soon some poor child will follow those same prints into the fog. Signed, Constable Duncan Fraser. Inverary Watch House, 9th November 1843. Archivist's note: Dr. Nathaniel Ashcroft. Constable Fraser's report was preserved by Argyll Archives and transferred to the museum in 1928. No record exists of a missing child from Inverary that winter. However, a ferry manifest dated 3 nights prior lists a passenger, A. Fraser, infant. Case remains under review, NOA 1843S. End of file. Case file NOA 1721M. Classification: Ecclesiastical record. Date of statement: 16th October 1682. Location: Bedlam Hospital, London. Author: Margaret Fenwick, head nurse. Witness statement: in the name of our Lord and for the sanctity of this institution, I write these notes that the truth be kept. The patient was admitted on the 9th of October, a man of perhaps 30 years, though his hair had turned entirely white. He was found wandering near the churchyard of Street. Mary Bethlehem, muttering in Latin phrases I could not understand. From the first hour of his admission, the ward changed. Lamps would dim though the oil was full, and the air grew colder near his cot. He refused broth, repeating non est corpus meum until his voice gave out. The attending physician, Dr. Altham, suspected a fever of the brain, and ordered restraint. On the night of the 12th, I was on duty alone. The patients were asleep when I heard a whisper near my left ear, not from the ward, but from above. It said, quite clearly, "He is not one of ours." The restrained man began thrashing, eyes rolled white, shouting words that scorched my hearing. The cleric stands at my gate, his cot split as if by great weight from within. 2 attendants arrived. Both swore the smell of iron filled the air. In the morning, the man was gone, the straps unbroken, the door locked from the inside. Only a dark imprint remained on the sheets, like soot pressed into linen. The rector came to bless the ward and ordered all patients moved to the lower hall. The bed was burned in the courtyard, yet the stain persisted upon the stones for 3 days. I record this for the hospital ledger, for it is not the first time one has spoken in tongues unknown to our order, but it is the first time I feared the words were not his own. Signed, Margaret Fenwick, Head Nurse, Bethlehem Hospital, London, 16th October 1682. Archivist's Note, Dr. Nathaniel Ashcroft. Referenced original manuscript preserved in Archive Vault 7B. Dr. Altham's death certificate lists cause as suffocation during sleep 3 nights after this entry. The Latin phrase repeated by the patient translates as, "This is not my body." Case file NOA 1721M remains open. End of file. Case closed to public record. The original document remains sealed within the vaults of the British Museum. Further access requires written authorization or curiosity strong enough to ignore the warnings. End of file. The British Museum, Sub-Basement 3, Department of Anomalous Antiquities. My name is Dr. Nathaniel Ashcroft, Senior Archivist, Custodian of Restricted Collections. What you are about to hear has been recovered from sealed files, letters, journals, and testimonies once thought too disturbing for public record. Every statement you hear is drawn from Britain's forgotten centuries, the whispered history that hides between faith and fear. These are the National Occult Archives, filed, preserved, never closed.